Hi, welcome back to Unique Minds of the Okanagan. I'm Robb O'Day, and we're on location in Revelstoke with Jesse of Gürth. So let's dive into where you're from, how long you've been a musician, and what led you to being one of the founding members of Gürth.
I'm from Nakusp, BC originally, which is about an hour from here. I grew up here as well for all of elementary school and then moved back to Nakusp for high school. I just kind of latched on to that right away and carried it with me everywhere, playing, mainly just like busking and playing on the street and learning songs from all my favorite artists, self-taught. Don't really have a ton of theory. As far as getting into the band, it was kind of a real roundabout way of getting there and meeting Garrett. I was in this other band called Highway 1 at the time, and Garrett would come in and practice in the studio actually on this property. And as soon as we met, I just kind of knew there was something special between us, a real connection. And yeah, we just kind of slowly started jamming over the years and creating music together, playing in different projects.
As the main writer, and you said that you don't have a lot of theory, so you're self-taught.
Well, that's the funny thing. In this band, I'm not the main writer.
No,
I'm co-writer. I would say I brought a few originals that I had written years ago into the group, but for the most part, Garrett is actually written the majority of the lyrics.
Does Garrett sing as well?
He raps, yeah.
It's cool to see that a drummer is writing lyrics.
Yeah. Well, no, also the stuff he is writing is pretty incredible. Like, coming from a writer that's been doing it for 25, almost 30 years now. I have been the main writer in every group I've ever been in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when I started hearing some of the stuff he was writing, I just, like, chills, you know, pretty incredible. It's definitely something that I wasn't used to, but now I am.
Like getting used to working with somebody else's lyrics.
Just seeing those lyrics and just kind of picturing how they're going to go, because I'll still arrange the songs. Mm-hmm. We obviously all do that together, but as far as lyric going and like finding a vocal melody, that's still kind of up to me.
Do you write the instrumentals first and then he takes the lyrics to it?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes he'll come with the lyrics already done and he's already kind of has sort of a structure and an idea in mind.
That is a really cool thing, and I think that kind of puts you guys above a lot of other bands. Because to be able to split up the duties.
I think it like gives us a look into each other's jobs, I guess.
And minds,
like brings
too,
us
right?
closer together as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And we're open like that as well. We'll let, like, as a three-piece, we all collaborate our ideas, I guess. There's not really just one writer in this band.
Giving up that creative control to be like, just like free falling into the art itself without any like preconception of where it's going to go.
Yeah, I feel like it's helped me in a lot of aspects of my life. Just kind of not be so worried about being in control of everything all the time, and just letting the kind of the cards kind of lay, you know.
Was it a challenge hidden in within a blessing of killing that ego of being a writer?
Oh yeah, it's helped me grow
as a person,
you know, coming into every practice with an open mind, you know, and we might make some changes that I didn't agree with, or like we've actually completely gotten rid of a song, and we spent probably 6 months writing this song, and all realized at the end of it we didn't really care for it that much, and Garrett was the one who kind of brought it up. He's like, I really don't like that song, and it went with the main theme of our song, or our album. It's called Calm Before the Storm, and we haven't given up in the song yet. We're still gonna probably take those lyrics and that idea and put it into something new, but it's just the music and the lyrics didn't match, and it was kind of trying to create a positive message, but the music was very sad for it, so it just didn't really jive. Stuff like that, I don't think I ever could have done that before. I would have held on to that song for dear life, but coming into this band, I think it's just helped me grow so much as a person that, yeah, I like where I'm at. You got to write a bunch of stinkers to get to the gems.
I've written so many stupid songs
Yeah.
that I'm like, I'm glad nobody ever heard them.
Yeah.
There's 3 songs we didn't put on the album because I was like, no, I don't like them. I don't ever want to perform them again. I don't want them recorded. Our old guitar player leaving and having to write a whole new set list, and it was just like such like juvenile guitar riffs and like
Right.
concepts, and I was just like, I don't want to put that out. Like, I'm not proud of it. So
Yeah, and if it doesn't match the rest of what you're trying to put out there.
yeah, and it's just
doesn't
like
belong on
you
the
got to be
album.
true to yourself too, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's just be yourself, and I think that goes true with any art form. And I think that there's this weird like preconceived notion that like as musicians we have to be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like now we have to really be like censored as to what we can and cannot say to make these messages, and it becomes it's hard to like just be like straightforward writing lyrics. I mean,
Yeah, it
most people
seems
want-
like people just kind of want the meat and the potatoes. They want to get right to the message, and hence the the way the music industry's gone to pop music and everything.
How do you also put like a positive message on a somber feel of a song, right? And it's the being metal musicians is really weird because like if we really wanted to, we could pick up acoustic guitars and play basic 5 chords, 4 chords, and write songs that make it big. But it's wanting to push the boundaries that really defines metal musicians versus others. And I think that constant pushing for the future of what it could be is like what turns people off of it, if that makes sense. Because they're like, they're comfortable in their box. There's like the 4/4 structure with a chorus and a verse, a chorus and a verse, and maybe a bridge that changes a quick transition to a different chord set. But it always comes back to the same because it's like embedded in us. That's what we're structured to be. Songs are structured to be like that, which is why I love prog, because it
goes
literally
with the emotion.
kicks those boundaries down and just like,
You're writing to emotion.
Yeah.
You're writing a storyline. You just
need
gotta
to
play
feel
what
it.
feels good.
how many times have you played to an empty room, still walked out and came back a month later and came back and still played because you love playing? You can't take that love away. There's musicians who are 90 years old. Like, look at Ozzy. He can't even stand, and he still wants to give back to his people and his fans. And it's that duty as a musician. And it's kind of cool to hear that you've given up the writing, like the main writing aspect for lyrics, because you don't see that often. And I think it's really cool that you guys do that. Like, it's still I'm mind blown because, like, for me to sit there and put myself in the shoes of like relinquishing myself of lyrics is actually like gives me anxiety.
There was difficult moments.
Like I have anxiety thinking about like not being
Yeah.
the one who speaks the message.
Well, there was like feelings of inadequacy and
Yep.
just like, okay, well, if I'm not the writer, then what am I? But there's more to it than that, and then just finding this group of people that I can just be so open with and create all these amazing songs with. I mean, that's all I need. I realized somewhere along the way it's not about me. It's about us as a group, the 3 of us.
And it's the love that we have for what we do. And I think that when we finally, like, all the building our careers and writing music and stuff, is it's like at the end of the day when you're on that stage and you're looking at the guys and you're all smiling, you know what I mean? Like, there's no greater feeling.
No.
I wouldn't give that feeling up for $1 million. Like, never would I give that up for my friends. Like, that is almost as valuable. That feeling right there of being with my brothers is almost as valuable as like being with my kids.
Yeah.
Like, it is just as special to me, and it's hard to explain to people who don't understand it.
Yeah, unless you've experienced it, you wouldn't really quite understand.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. It's like bands. I always hate to say it, but it's like I feel bands don't get enough credit for how much they put in. I wish there was like shows that just show like behind the scenes of bands.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. As a musician, you like to survive. You have to have a day job, and then you have to also put all your work into your art, and still have the energy to put on gigs and record albums and find new venues and find
you're
fans,
funding it yourself.
and do all your own marketing and your online presence. And
It's insane.
I think we are undervalued.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where I was like saying, it's like I feel this like progressive change happening in the industry where it's like 3 or 4 years away, and all of a sudden it's just gonna like somebody in the industry with enough pull is going to make something happen.
There is something about like experiencing all that stuff as a human though, and going through all that crap that kind of helps you create all that art.
It is. It is what makes us.
And if it was easy, the art wouldn't be as interesting.
Well, that's the thing, is it wouldn't be easy, because you'd still have to prove, kind of like having to go to school and get a degree, but like you have to prove that you can do this as a job, and you've put in your 10,000 hours to master your art.
Yeah.
Because like if you actually break down that 10,000 hours for us to be a master of our art, if you played 3 hours a day for, I think it's 5 years, you're a master. That's not a lot. You can break that down to 1 hour a day over 9 years.
Yeah.
We've been playing our instrument for 30. We're well into the master status, so we should be treated such, just like any doctor, any teacher. We have our master, like our degree in what we do. Like with your album, as you guys have been diving through, I asked the other guys as well, what has been your biggest struggle with
recording the album? It's the management, time management. Being able to put the time that we need in here, a lot of late hours and long hours, and then having the energy to go to work and have the rest of my life to kind of deal with and manage. Being a father, also being in a long-term relationship, family, work, that's probably the biggest one. If we had the time to put into this, it would be a lot further along.
It was until this year. I had a long time in my life where I was battling that if I don't hit famous by 27, I gotta quit music.
Yeah, I went through that too.
And it ate me after I took 10 years of music off. It killed me inside, knowing that I wasn't doing what I was meant to do.
Your dream.
Yeah, not even doing my dream, just what I meant to do. I'm not meant to work a 9 to 5. I'm not meant to do anything other than music.
Yeah.
And I know that. And that's why now it's like, if I didn't have a spouse who supported me and like, go on a 25-day tour, because I can see that it's going to be worth it in the end. I'm like, there's no way in hell I'd ever be able to make it. So it's saying, like, how do we delegate our time in 24 hours to all these things that we love without like losing it and losing specific parts? Because like I have friends who have chose music over family, and now they're like 20 years down the road and
regretting it.
Yeah, they got nothing, got no band, right? They're like, it's hard to watch almost. And it's like, at the end of the day, we know we're always going to write music. We're always going to create music. That's never going to leave. There is no age limit to doing it. Like, you don't have to stop making music and performing it because you're not going to make it at 35 or 27. Like, my music's hit further now in the last 2 years from 33 to 35 than it ever did in the 30 years before. And I toured full time doing hip hop and stuff before. Like, I've had successes with music, but it was like a mental change, I guess. It wasn't like changing for, like, striving for success. It was like striving for fame versus now I'm striving for success.
And that's the other thing too, is like seeing those opportunities come up and taking those risks and, you know, not turning down those big opportunities. That's how you that's how you get where you need to get. Yeah,
it's hard to make that too, because there's been,
well, it's always choices, right?
Many times, like we've
it's
been
always
asked,
a choice.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like, yes, it is good to play a big festival, but at the end of the day, is if it's on a special day, take the special day. You don't need to play the festival,
right?
In my eyes, like now, before I would have been like, I'm taking festival. And Meg can vouch for that. I was gone for almost an entire year with the band when we had a newborn, and it was very difficult on our relationship. And
it would be really tough. Yeah.
It was difficult on everything, and it was like, that was me making the wrong choice. And I saw it and accepted it and kind of like moved through it, and now we found a way that works. And it's like, it just kind of like, that's that ebb and flow and balance, as not only with your band but your spouses and art you make. And
well, because
crazy.
I mean, because what we don't realize, you know, at first glance, is the spouses are part of this band just as much as we are,
if not more.
Because they're, you know, they're taking care of the kid when a member is practicing, or, you know, they're going to all the gigs. They're, you know, picking up the slack. So we need to remember that.
Right, yeah, there's a lot of...
So shout out to all the spouses.
It's true, because like, that's what I meant by like, it's that network that you build. There's so much that goes into it, and I don't think even us, we like as musicians realize it because we've always had that blinders on. But like you said, it kind of hits. It's a weird moment that just switches. It's like we're growing up.
Yeah.
Almost like, oh wow, we finally became adults. But like we've been adults for a while. But like mentally, musicians are a little slower because we've got this giant dream that we're chasing.
Yeah.
That encompasses so much. And so many different hats you have to wear just to do it that it's almost like it's a full-time job on top of a full-time job on top of a full-time job. So have you found it difficult? Like you were saying, it's difficult to get into the studio, but what has been your favorite part? What has been like the most magic
recording?
moment? Yeah, or even just with the band, what has been?
Well, seeing the songs come to life, because, you know, when we started, we didn't really necessarily know what the end result was going to be. So just all the little things that you add, and I've also been part of the production team. Like me and Caden have been working together. He's got the main part of it. He's got the reins on it. But I do have a little bit of experience from before.
That's awesome.
So that's been helpful. And yeah, just kind of seeing them come to life, I guess. Because I knew that they always had that potential, but just maybe took the right time and the right people. We also had another member of the band before. I heard you mentioned that you had a similar situation. And he actually left the band. His decision to go kind of chase a different dream. I feel like losing him it was hard at first, but it kind of brought us closer together. And he was one of the reasons I think we were being held back. He was very like, in practice, if he didn't like an idea, he would just kind of stand there and not say anything, and you know, a buzzkill. You know.
Yeah, it's really hard to find.
Yeah.
A good connection with people.
Yeah. So, you know, now with the three of us, I mean, it's just so easy to write and do everything now, because it's just a quick, 1, 2, 3 count. You good? You good? Yeah. Off we go. You know.
Because we've been friends in band for, I want to say like 6 years almost now, and it's just like, when you have that much, like, it's like being around your best friends all the time. Sometimes you're going to be annoyed of them, right?
Absolutely.
But
especially being on tour.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, we haven't even done a tour yet.
And it's like, you got to let those things go, because it's like in the moment, you're tired, you're hungry, you're no sleep, you've been sitting in a car for 16 hours. Like, clearly you're going to bicker with each other. But it's the coming out of it that really shows who's there for the band. Because, like,
exactly.
I've seen so many bands break up after tour, and I've been on so many bands that break up on tour, and it's like always one member who's just like the non-dedicated one that just really proves to the band that they're not dedicated. And it's like, you guys have that solid, dedicated group that I don't think you're gonna ever have to worry about that. It's when you add somebody that's not in that sync. Yeah. So like that's why I feel bad for Josh sometimes, because Norm, Andy, and I have played together for so long, and he's such a talented musician, and our styles, guitar-wise, me and him work perfect together because we complement each other, and like the way I'll play something he's playing, it works so perfectly, but he's trying to like now dive in and understand how we work as the three of us work, and trying to find his way in there. And it's like, when you've got one who does the mixing, one that does the social media, one that does all the bookings, like how do you fit in without like pushing people out? You need to be able to like vibe off of each other when you're working, but like being two vocalists trying to work together,
that's tough.
Yeah, and it just came to a point where it was like, it doesn't work, so we kind of got to just make the choice. Right. And that's the hardest thing. With the album coming out soon, hopefully, when you guys get it finished, we won't rush. What's your plan? Where do you guys want to head first? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just getting it out there, getting it out to the masses, and seeing how it does, and on all the streaming services. I liked your idea about reaching out to some movie people, maybe some video games, and getting it out that way. I've thought about that in the past. That's a really good idea.
It's just
it makes sense. Yeah, because you're right, because they don't want to pay for big names, and
And like Kelowna's got a huge movie scene. Like all after the pandemic, Kelowna took over the movie industry. So many independent films coming out of Kelowna right now that you could just be like, if you joined a independent film.
Well, and I know there's companies that do that specifically. They'll taxi your music out to whoever needs it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you kind of just get your name into that database, and you can be a main contact.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities in that, and and how to do that, and like those are like the things that we're not taught.
Yeah, it's definitely for the love. That's why we do it.
I always try to help bands, and like we need to make this a business, and like you to make yourself successful and be successful and make this like what you do from a 9 to 5 is like kind of got to look at it like a business, and like that takes away from you your love of the art, and it's a very finicky ground to walk on. If you had any advice to give aspiring musicians on how they could start their career, what do you think it would be?
Yeah, what Garrett said, just pick up an instrument, any instrument, just play, don't give up. That's what I did. I just got a guitar one day and carried it with me everywhere. And that's, here I am, 30 years later.
Wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, so find an instrument, play it, don't give up.
Well, Jesse, I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, man.
It's been a pleasure meeting you guys, and
you as well, Rob.
I want to get you down to Kelowna as soon as possible.
Let's do it.
I want to turn that thing off. I got some dates, so.
All right. Sounds good.
We'll talk to you guys next time.